All right, so today we're jumping into something, well, it's pretty wild. It's a really strange and powerful story about the battle for our own sense of purpose. It's called The Parable of the Feast of Skulls. Okay, so right off the bat, the story just pulls the rug out from under you. You hear the word carnival, and you're probably thinking, fun, parties, celebration, right? But nope. This quote tells us we're in for something completely different. This isn't about having a good time. It's about a frantic, desperate fight just to exist. And so we start our journey in a place they call the Scream of the Street. The people there, the revelers, they're all wearing these skull masks. And get this, the story calls them a refusal of the Iron Heaven. So it's like this massive, symbolic middle finger to an ordered, cold, uncaring universe. And the noise they're making? It's not music. It's described as a sonic fracture, a sound designed specifically to shatter order. So let's really paint a picture of this atmosphere. Imagine this. We're in the ash-stained streets of Naples. Everyone around you is hidden behind these skull masks, so they're all completely anonymous. And the vibe, it is not happy. The story describes it as a frantic, sweating desperation to strive. Seriously, this is not a party. This is basically a war against doing nothing. But right when you start to get a handle on this wild, chaotic energy, everything changes. The story just pivots. Something new creeps in. It's this unnatural silence. And it starts to literally eat the noise. This is where we get to the part called the descent of the gray. Now, it's so important to understand this isn't just peaceful quiet. No. The story calls it the silence of the clot. And that name is perfect because it's an active, almost predatory force. It's a thick, oppressive quiet that doesn't just happen, it actively eats the noise and starts to erase the world. And you can actually see it. Its physical form is something called the semiotic veil, basically a thick gray mist that just rolls over the cobblestones. And its job? To blur all the edges, to get rid of any distinctions between things. It's the physical manifestation of what the story calls the field of mindless existence. Creepy, right? So you've got to be asking, where is all this coming from? This mist, this silence? Well, it comes from a being, or maybe a non-being, named Atma Null. It's totally invisible, completely indifferent to everything, and its whole existence is defined by the void it creates. It's this creeping, all-consuming nothingness. Okay, so to make this huge, abstract threat feel personal and real, the story zooms right in on one guy, a drummer. His rhythm is like his personal act of defiance against this void. And this is where we get to see how Atma Null actually attacks. It's not a physical fight. It's an attack on telos, which is the Greek word for your purpose, your ultimate goal in life. I want to be super clear about this. Atma Null is not some monster from a horror movie. It doesn't bite you, it doesn't burn you, it doesn't even kill your body. What it does is, well, it's way, way worse. It cuts you off from your purpose. It literally feeds on your why, the reason you get up in the morning, the reason you do anything. It makes it all feel utterly pointless. So what does that feel like from the inside? For the drummer, it's like he's suddenly crushed by the weight of the Schopenhauerian pendulum. You know that idea? That life is just this constant, painful swing between suffering and boredom? That's what hits him, all at once. The struggle to keep that beat, his whole act of defiance just feels endless. And for nothing. And then comes the whisper. The seductive, logical whisper of what's called the Null Protocol. And you got to admit, it's a tempting offer, isn't it? Why burn when you can sleep? Why dance when the stone is so still? It's asking, why bother with all this struggle? Why strive so hard? Why burn with passion when you could just rest? It's the voice of apathy itself, and it's promising you that sweet, sweet relief from having to try anymore. So how do you think our drummer reacts to this existential gut punch? You'd probably expect him to scream, to fight back even harder, right? But what actually happens next? This, for me, is the single most terrifying part of the whole story. He doesn't scream, he sighs. The story calls it a sigh of violent relief. And that's the absolute horror at the heart of this parable. Giving up the struggle, surrendering his will to live and strive, it doesn't feel like losing. It feels like a cool hand on a hot forehead. It feels good. It feels like relief. And you watch him just dismantle himself. It's so chilling because it's so methodical. First, he stops the rhythm.
Then he unbuckles the drum, the very instrument of his defiance, and just lets it roll away. He takes off his skull mask, the symbol of his entire rebellion, and smashes it on the ground. And finally, he just lies down and curls into a ball, a total, complete surrender.
So what is he now? The story has this bone-chilling term for it, ontologically hollowed. It means he's still biologically alive, right? His heart's beating, he's breathing, but his being, his purpose, his will, his identity, it's all been scooped out. He's basically regressed to animalistic endurance, just a biological machine waiting to run down. He's become a shadow of the clock. Okay, so now the story pulls the camera back. Because what just happened to our drummer? It's happening to everyone. We're about to see the effect this has on the whole city, and what Atman Null's horrifying endgame really is. Remember that riot of existence we started with? All that noise and energy? Well, its end isn't some big explosion. It's the exact opposite. The whole thing just dies, with a quiet, collective slump. All of that frantic, desperate energy from an entire city just evaporates. And the final image is just haunting. Dancers freeze in the middle of a step. Lovers just let go of their embrace. All of that screaming, chaotic joy is gone, replaced by the dead silence of a sterile museum. And through it all walks Atman Null, feasting on all of that wasted potential, all of that surrendered purpose. And that's the final goal, the end game. Atman Null's whole purpose is to prepare the city for what's called the glass coffin. Its mission is to take all the vibrant, messy, dangerous chaos of being alive and transform it into something perfectly safe, perfectly ordered, and perfectly, motionlessly dead. So this whole parable leaves us with a really heavy but absolutely crucial question. It's basically suggesting that this temptation to just stop striving, to give in to the feeling that it's all meaningless, is a constant seductive threat for all of us. It's like a silence of the clote that whispers in our own ears from time to time. So the final question isn't really for the drummer in the story. It's for you. It's for me. In a world that is so full of struggle, how do we protect our own why?